By what name are you known?
There are some who call me... Tim?
Welcome to another episode of Timmy Talks, the channel where we talk old school magic. And today we are back in Arnhem, the Netherlands for the Camel Trophy, and we have reached the semi-finals of this gentleman's tournament. So just a reminder, gentleman's means no Library of Alexandria and no Mind Twist. So you cannot find those cards in these decks today. And in the semi-finals, we've got two very strong decks going face to face. We've got UW Robots by Martijn, so blue-white robots. We've seen that deck in action last time as well. It's a very strong deck, but it's also taking up a very strong opponent because it's playing against Koen, and Koen is playing a blue-red burn deck. So this is a deck that's all about burn. It's not counter burn, it's burn. There are no counter spells in here, and he's also playing with 4 Orcish mechanics, so that is pretty sweet. But before I dive into the deck decks, I have lovely deck photos of both of these decks. First, a message from our sponsor, 3for1 Trading. 3for1 Trading is one of Europe's leading Magic the Gathering retailers. Their online shop has a fantastic selection of high-end Magic cards, especially for vintage, legacy, and yes, old school Magic players. They now exclusively offer my community free, fully insured and fast worldwide shipping on all their high-end singles, full sets, and out-of-print sealed products. They upload new cards every Wednesday and have weekly sale offers and reductions waiting just for you. Use my code TIMMY to get free worldwide shipping on your first order over $500 or euros. Have fun ordering those cards, and thank you 3for1 Trading for sponsoring this video. And we are back and ready to dive into the deck decks, and I'm going to start with the player on the left, that is Koen. Let's take a look at his deck. And here we see the deck of Koen. So this is really red-blue burn, right? And I think these burn lists, they might be a very good answer to all the blue and white decks that we see in the format these days, right? You've got blue-white robots, what Martijn is playing. You've got, of course, blue-white the deck. You've got blue-white line dip bolt. And when I'm saying blue-white, by the way, just to explain, I'm meaning the blue-white core in those decks. They're usually also splashing other colors to play the restricted cards, right? Like Demonic Tutor and Mind Twist. So when I'm saying blue-white, I don't mean a pure blue-white list. But I think these decks could be a very good weapon against it because they go so quick. You've got no time to breathe when you're playing against a list like this, right? Let's have a look. He's playing with 2 Ankh of Mishra, 4 Black Vices. So that's early pressure going on, right? Black Vice turn 1, you take 3 damage. That's a free lightning bolt. Then if you start playing out lands, if you can get the Ankh of Mishra out early, you're going to punish your opponent for playing out lands because your opponent takes 2 damage. Now do remember, this Ankh of Mishra also works against you. But I mean, look at the list of Koen. He doesn't need that much mana. He's also playing with all the Moxen, the Black Lotus, the Soul Ring. So in a lot of cases, 2 lands for Koen will be enough to kind of do whatever he wants to do if he finds the Lotuses and the Moxen here to help him cast the other stuff. Because I guess Suchi is kind of the big thing. Suchi is, together with the Orcish mechanics, the only creature. So he's only playing 8 creatures. Suchi, of course, a 4/4/4, a card that's really good in the Swedish format because there's no mana burn. And then when we look at that bottom list, it's all burn, right? Almost all burn. We're seeing 4 Chain Lightnings, 4 Lightning Bolts, 4 Psionic Blasts. And these decks are also referred to as 12 bolt decks because it's basically all instant direct damage that you can hit the face with. And then we also see 2 Fireballs. So there's even more direct damage in here. It's just so much direct damage. It's insane. Then he's playing 2 Shatters, I guess, to kind of, take care of the artifacts. It's a very artifact-heavy format, so it's always good to have artifact removal. Then we see some of the restricted cards, Wheel of Fortune, Time Twister, Time Walk, and Ancestral Recall. And then we've got the playset that I'm the most excited about, because remember, I'm a Timmy, and I love to see cards that don't see a lot of play. And Orcish Mechanics is definitely one of those cards that doesn't see a lot of play. I think in this list, a lot of players would put like maybe some Atox in here, or maybe even some extra burn. But in this case, he has chosen to go with Orcish Mechanics, which I think is really cool. And the mechanics can kind of make small lightning bolts, because what does this creature do? It's a 1 red and 2 for a 1/1. Pretty bad stats, but the ability is pretty cool. You can tap it, sacrifice an artifact, and then deal 2 damage to any target. So if later in the game, for example, you draw a Mox from the top, you can then use that Mox to deal 2 damage to your opponent. It's no longer a dead card, which is quite nice. So yeah, this deck, it's looking very dangerous because you're dead before you know it. When you play against this deck, you can be dead in like, what, 3-4 turns? So it's going to be really important for Martijn to actually try to stabilize the game and try to drag the game into mid-game, late game, because then I think he's the favorite. Talking about that, let's take a look at the deck of Martijn. And here we see the robots deck of Martijn. So this is a blue-white robots deck. You've got different types of robot decks with different variations with color. But of course, most of them have that blue-white core, and we see Martijn really going heavily into that blue-white. And why is it called robots? Well, that's because of two creatures in the deck, Triskelion and Suchi. So Triskelion, the 4/4, well, actually the 1/1 for 6 mana, but it comes into play with 3 +1/+1 counters, so it's basically a 4/4. You can take those counters off to deal 1 damage to any target, and believe it or not, that is really, really good in old school. And he's only playing with 2, which surprises me a little bit. Usually these robot decks play with 4 Triskelions and 4 copy artifacts, but we see that Martijn chose a little bit more of a different strategy, maybe a bit more controlling strategy, you could say. He's playing with 2 copy artifacts and 2 Triskelions, so he's being a little bit modest in that department. He is playing with 4 Suchi. Suchi, the 4/4 creature from Antiquities. When it dies, you get 4 mana, and of course this is a problem when you're playing with mana burn, but in this format in Swedish, there's no mana burn, so that makes this, the Suchi really, really good. It's a 4/4 for 4, which is really great stats. It is, however, very vulnerable because it's an artifact and a creature, so there are a lot of ways to deal with it, but of course it's also a great target for those 2 copy artifacts. And then right next to the Suchis, we see 2 Sages of Lat-Nam. Sages of Lat-Nam is kind of your extra Gem Day tomes, right? A better Gem Day tome, you could say. The problem of Sage, though, is it's a creature, right? It's a 1/2 creature, 1 blue and 1, also from Antiquities. You can tap it, sacrifice a creature to draw a card. Well, I'm saying sacrifice a creature, you have to sacrifice an artifact, which is a very important difference. Because when you sacrifice an artifact, yes, you can sacrifice the creatures in this deck. You can also sacrifice an animated Mishra's Factory, but later in the game, if you're having too many Moxen and you don't really need them, you can cash in those Moxen for cards, and that can turn out to be quite decisive. I've seen Sage of Lat-Nam decide a lot of games, and the thing is, the secret is out. People know how good Sage is, so usually it finds a bolt or a Swords to Plowshares as soon as it hits the board. But still, if it can stick on the board, it can be a super good card here for Martijn. Talking about card draw, we also say 2 Jam Day tomes. So 2 tomes and 2 Sage of Lat-Nam. That kind of shows the intention of Martijn's deck. This is really a UW robots kind of control build. In my opinion, we also see 2 counterspells and a mana drain, so 3 counterspells in total. Then, of course, we see that, white control package, the reason that white is so incredibly popular, right? We see 4 Swords to Plowshares, 3 Disenchants. We see a single Divine Offering. I think Divine Offering is one of those cards that, continues to be more and more popular because it also gives you life. In this format, we also have a lot of 12 bolt decks, meaning Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, Psionic Blast, that combination. And if you have that little bit of life gain, even 1 Divine Offering can actually get you a long way. We also see another Divine Offering in the sideboard that, of course, you can board in if you play against, well, for example, another Robots deck, right? You're going to board in that extra Divine Offering. Talking about Artifact Hate, we also see a Dust to Dust main, and this kind of surprises me. It shows how many artifacts Martijn is expecting today and how many artifacts there actually are in old school Magic at the moment that you can play a Dust to Dust main. And of course, because he's mainly playing white and blue, the double white is not so much of a problem. When you're playing this white and blue robot shell in a lot of other decks, they're playing multiple colors besides white and blue, and then the double white can be an issue. But in this case, it's no issue, and Martijn saying, I've got the mana to cast this Dust to Dust. I'm going to play it because I'm expecting to run into a lot of Moxen and other decisive artifacts. Of course, Jam Day Tome is another very popular artifact that you're going to see as well. And of course, the abundance of Suchis in the Swedish format. So it's going to help against those as well. And then one card I want to highlight before I continue, because then we just see, all the restricted cards that are in there for a reason, because they're, super good. That's why they're restricted. But it's also interesting to see the single Armageddon. Again, I think that's a good choice, also because he is himself playing with a lot of mana rocks, so you can Armageddon, keep those mana rocks. But also Armageddon, just in general, a great card. If you're ahead in the game, Armageddon, and you're probably going to win, right? So if you time your Armageddon right, that can be a game decider. Okay, and then now that we've talked about both decks, it means we're ready to go to the match. Let's go. Game number 1 of the semifinals of the Camel Trophy here is about to begin. Koen sitting on the left, he's on the draw, and he's taking a mulligan here, going down to 6 cards in hand. His opponent is Martijn, and I believe Martijn's keeping his hand. Here we see the hand of Koen. Koen is playing blue, red, burn. Lots of vices in that hand. Let's see what Martijn can do in first turn. Mox Sapphire, ooh, Ancestral Recall. It's actually kind of good news for Koen because it means he goes back up to 7 cards. And Martijn is playing blue-white robots, by the way. So he's back on 7, passes the turn. So I'm expecting Koen here to have a turn 1 Vice. I would be very surprised if he does something else. But you never know in old school. There we see a mountain, tapping for a mana. There's the Vice. So that means 3 damage here for Martijn, dropping to 17. Right, he's got 7, right? Yeah, exactly. Okay, gonna go to 17, draw a card for turn. Let's see if he can empty his hand. 8 cards now in hand for Martijn. He's gonna tap 2 here. He's gonna play a Flower Stone, and he's gonna play a Black Lotus. Are we also going to see a land drop here, or perhaps a Suchi? No, just a pass. So I believe 6 cards in hand then for Martijn. So Koen, of course, has that second Vice he could deploy. There's a Volcanic Island, gonna tap 2. Are we gonna see an Ankh of Mishra? There's an Ankh, so this is classic combination Ankh with the Vice. And here you can see the problem with that strategy is that in old school Magic, you're gonna play against a lot of decks that play Moxen, Flower Stones, Lotuses. 2 damage here, by the way, for Martijn, dropping to 15. And then that Ankh is just not as good anymore. You usually want to combine it with some artifact removal. But only 2 shatters in the deck of Koen. And here we see another Mox. The Mox Emerald. And Martijn here a little bit in the tank. I mean, I'm sure if you're Martijn, you just want to empty that hand. He's already on 15. That Vice is really doing work. I was kind of expecting to see a second Vice by Koen. Gonna tap quite a lot here, it seems. Second, the Black Lotus, tapping 6. There's a Triskelion. So the 4/4 creature from Antiquities. And that's a very good Orcish Mechanics killer, unfortunately. I just wish that Orcish Mechanics would be at least like a 1/2 for 3 mana. Here is some damage for Koen because of that Ankh of Mishra. Remember, it works both ways. Gonna tap 3. There we see a Psionic Blast. Yeah, and this blast always feels kind of bad, Psionic Blast on a trike, because, you know, you're taking 5 points of damage. We can see that happening to Koen here now. He's on 13, Martijn on 14, taking a damage from that Vice. But I mean, you have to do it, right? Or else he starts attacking, and it's probably the best thing to do. There's the attack with the factory. Now Koen's on 11, Martijn on 10. Sorry, Martijn on 14, not on 10. Of course, he's on 14. That's a pretty big difference. Gonna tap 1. Are we gonna see the second Vice? Finally, the second Vice being deployed. There's a counterspell, though, on that Vice. That's gonna work because we know that Koen doesn't play any counterspells. Martijn, of course, doesn't know this. We don't play with open lists. So the players don't have that information. And again, damage here. And actually, Koen is hurting himself more than Martijn with this Ankh of Mishra. And remember, at that stage in the game, he also could have deployed the second Vice. Of course, it's easy for me to say, looking at this game, knowing how things went, to say, okay, this decision would have been better. But it's interesting to think about what would have happened if he would have deployed that second Vice. Here we see the attack. Are we going to see a Bolt here? Gonna tap 3 again. Oh, he's inflicting so much damage. 1 damage from the city, 2 damage from the Psionic Blast. Oh, and a Mana Drain. Oh, this is painful. At least he's not taking the damage then from his own blast because of that Mana Drain, but still 2 damage from the factory, and the factory is still there. What would be really helpful here is just a Shatter. Shatter or a Bolt. Ooh, more mana. Only 1 card in hand for Koen. Again, damage for Martijn, though, dropping to 12. There's a Gem Day Tome passing the turn. Needs to get rid of this tome ASAP. Passing the turn. On the other hand, I guess, I mean, with the tome, he's going to draw more cards, also take more damage. There we see a Suchi. Yeah, the Suchi is dangerous. Oh, another Psionic Blast. Oh, he's going to go to 4. Oh, he's inflicting so much damage to himself. And now he can use the Suchi mana to draw a card. If Martijn wants to. Maybe he doesn't want to. Yes, he's going to do this. This is a really like a favorite combination of mine. Suchi with Jam Day Tome. Because then you can use those 4 mana to draw a card. I always love when that happens. I love seeing players do something with that 4 mana actually. And here's more damage now because of the extra card drawn by Martijn. So he's already on 9. I mean, Koen's very much still in it. I think what's unfortunate for Koen here is that he's found so many Psionic Blasts, and that just hurt him so much. Finally, some damage for Martijn from that Ankh. Gonna take 2, gonna drop to 7. There we see a Divine Offering. Yeah, Divine Offering really good. It's so good players even start playing it main here. We can see that Martijn playing 1 main and I believe 1 in the side. So he's going to go up to 9. Going to attack for 2. There's a bolt though. I like this first game. It's going up and down. Both players can still very much win it. Koen, of course, being the lowest one here on 4. But still, he's the burn player. Oh, Orcish Mechanics. Oh, he can shoot that Black Lotus. That would be funny. Don't know if you want to, because Koen's also playing, of course, with fireballs. But that would be cool. The question, of course, is will it survive? Or is it just going to eat up a Swords to Plowshares? Anyway, we'll see. We'll find out now. Again, damage for Martijn. Gonna drop to 8. Ooh, he's so low. Koen, of course, even lower on 4. What's gonna happen? He's gonna tap 2, it seems. I mean, 2 is not a Swords. And then the question is, if the mechanic survives, is he actually going to use it? Time Walk. Oh, that's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. Oh, Disenchant. Not great. Also because the mechanic still has Summoning Sickness, so cannot respawn by sacking the artifact to the mechanics, which would be quite good here. Yeah, this extra turn just came at the right moment, it seems. And I think if you're Martijn, you just want to play out another threat, right? The Suchi would be quite good here. Or just a Swords on the mechanics is fine as well. But maybe he doesn't have either, you know. There's a Sage of Lat-Nam, okay. I mean, that's decent. I wonder if he's then going to kill the Sage. Anyway, we'll wait and see. Oh, there's a Disenchant. That is unfortunate. Oh, I wanted to see that mechanics in action so bad. Come on, find an artifact, Koen, please. Oh, another land. That's the thing always in these situations. You find a land at the top of your deck. It's the last thing you need, but you find it. You find the land. And yeah, now it's looking really, really good for Martijn again. Has a lot of card draw capability. Gonna tap 2 for a Demonic Tutor. Uh-oh. What are you going to tutor for? That's the question. Could even go for a Mind Twist for 1, although you probably have better options. Could also just go for a counterspell. Because you're in control at the moment. And Martijn, of course, taking his time, needs to think about this. I mean, yes, it's looking really good for him. But you're on 8 and you're playing against the burn deck, so you're not like in the safe zone yet. And remember, as soon as Koen draws into an artifact, he can instantly fling it with his mechanics and deal 2 more points of damage. I mean, you could also consider just getting a sword, sorting the mechanics, attacking with the Sage. I mean, the mechanics is a little risky. You could also go, of course, for Triskelion if you have another land, and you can play a land, play Triskelion, kill Orcish Mechanics. Then again, if you play... Oh, no, the Egg of Mishra is gone, of course. Anyway, let's see what's going to happen. Okay, here we see a Chain Lightning. It's going to gobble up the Mox Emerald for a card. I mean, in a way, Ooh, yeah, there's a sword, so maybe you looked up the swords. I'm a little not surprised. Well, maybe a little surprised. I would consider firing off the Chain Lightning on Martijn, actually. There we see a Suchi. So Koen again is on the back foot here. Is on 5, of course, so he can theoretically survive another turn after a hit from the Suchi. There's the attack, gonna drop to 1. Does Martijn have, for example, a copy artifact? Could copy the Suchi here, chooses not to, passes the turn. There's the pass. Uh-oh. Bad news for Martijn. Because the Psionic Blast is not going to save him. There's the attack. Does he have an answer? Oh, it's a mountain. For a moment, I thought it was a shatter. It is a mountain. That means game number 1 here is won by Martijn. And now both players are going to dive into their sideboards, and we will catch back up with them in game number 2. Game number 2. Here we go with Koen on the play, but I believe he's taken a double mulligan. So it's not a great start for him, or is it a single one? Okay, so it's going to go to 6, I think. It's kind of hard to see. Yeah, it's going to go to 6. He's on the play. Let's see what he can do. Tapping the City of Brass. Okay, Vice. It's a good opener. Passing the turn here to Martijn. Martijn struggling a little bit with the dice, but I finally found a 2. He's on 17. Let's see what he can do in his first turn. I mean, the thing with these power decks is they can be quite good at just emptying their hand first turn. Yeah, exactly. Look at this. So, I mean, Vice is then just looking so bad in these situations. I guess the Vice already kind of did the work, but a turn 1 Triskelion, this is really bad news for Koen here. Koen is finding a second Vice, but it's not going to do much. Yeah, just bad news for Koen, and also making that symbol of, yeah, what can I do? There's the attack. Missed also a land drop, by the way, so we could be in for a very quick game. Number 2, here we see a Gem Day Tome, not a Suchi, could have been worse with an Suchi added to the board. But things are looking very bad here for Koen. Needs at least a land here. And then perhaps a double bolt or a chain and a bolt to take care of the Triskelion. Is not finding it though, taking more damage. And Martijn here also deciding to animate his factory. And now we see Koen dropping to 9. I mean, the only land he has is also a pain land, the City of Brass. Oh, this is really bad. The first game was so much fun, and now the second game, it is what it is, of course. These things also happen. There's the attack. Gonna drop to 5, so next turn he's dead. Unless he finds something. Even if he finds a Psionic Blast, he's dead, because he has to tap the City of Brasses with the extra land that he then finds exactly. Would go to 3. Because the Psionic Blast deals 2 to him, and then of course Martijn can fire off those 3 counters. That's it. Yeah, Martijn winning here. Yeah, this wasn't much of a second game, but it does happen. So Martijn making it here into the finals, and in the finals he's going to play against another robot deck, but that robots deck also plays with Diamond Valleys and Rook X. But more about that in the next episode. If you want to make sure that you don't miss that, please hit the subscribe button and ring that bell. All these things are free and really help the channel move forward, and of course help you to stay in touch with whenever I post new content. And another thing you can do to support the show, by the way, is by becoming a patron of the show. You can check that out on patreon.com/TimmyTalks, and here's some more information about my Patreon page. Aye, me hearties. If you would like to support the show, you can become a patron at patreon.com/TimmyTalks. We have 3 different patron levels. You can join as an apprentice for just $1 a month. And this will give you access to the Timmy Talks Discord, and you can join in on all the Timmy Talks online tournaments, such as the Color Clash and the Reprint Masters. You can also become a supporter at the Sorcerer level for just $2 a month. When you are a Sorcerer, your name will be mentioned in the end scroll, and if you want, you can play a game against, well, me. But there is more. If you become a supporter at the Pirate level, we can even make an episode together. Aye! Haha! You can also choose to pay annually for a 10% discount. So what are you waiting for, me hearty? Visit patreon.com/TimmyTalks and join the Timmy Talks crew. Arrgh.
Putting in the long boat until he's sober, putting in the long boat until he's sober, putting in the long boat Khajiit.